Hello and welcome to this edition of the Time with Hime podcast. I am joined by our superintendent, Mr. Hime. How are you this week?
Doing great. We're just moving right through. Can you believe fall's in the air?
I can feel those temperatures starting to drop. Some of it feels good. I'm not ready for winter, but I would love fall to stick around.
You know, and speaking of the weather, if you look at the weather forecast, we encourage all of our parents to monitor the weather forecast. But next week, we're going to have some highs in the 30s. I look Monday, Tuesday, high of 37. You know how Oklahoma weather is. It may get into the 40s, but the low of 32. So, you know, we're going to encourage our parents to look at the weather and make sure our kids, especially those that walk to school or out, dress appropriately and dress warm. The other thing is, being new to Lawton schools, could you please explain our inclement weather plan? Now, we all know that we've talked in extent this year about we won't have true snow days anyway. We'll have virtual days where everybody will work from home. As far as students will do their log on and do their work, teachers will do the work from home so we can continue with our education. But in announcing that so people know they're not actually coming into the physical building, how does all that work in Lawton? I'm kind of curious being new.
So what we do for our families is we like to let them know early enough in advance if we can, so no later than the 10 o'clock newscast if we're able. And you know, Oklahoma weather, sometimes there's nothing happening the night before and then you wake up and there's snow on the ground. But we will push it out through our social media, our notifications that our parents are connected to, the media. We'll send it to the media outlet so they can report it. But you'll always get a phone call from us and a message letting you know whether to send your kids to school the next day or if we're going to do virtual days at home.
And there's two things in that. One is, if you've updated your phone number for whatever reason, make sure your school has a updated phone number on you so that you're in the call system correctly, because obviously if we don't have your phone number when we run the call blast, as we call those, it won't call you, and so you won't get the message. Obviously, it'll be on TV, social media, et cetera. The other thing is, you know, similar to other districts, as a superintendent, I make the call.
Correct.
And I will say that in my career, you know, I've been doing this for 14 years, I've always tried to make that call the night before because it's a lot easier for everyone, including myself, because if you don't make the call the night before, routinely you're up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning driving the roads to see if it's safe. So we don't just lay in bed and turn on the radio or flip a coin and decide if we're going to have kids come to school or not. With the virtual days, it's going to give us the ability to really err and caution on the side of safety. So again, we believe that traditional, 8,000 of our students chose traditional, so we want them to be able to come to school. I do want to make sure we know if we call a virtual day, it's a hardship to parents. And we've talked about our flexibility in working with parents from day one. So don't think we're just going to call a virtual day just to make our jobs easier. We'll still try to make those calls, but safety will always be first in keeping as many people off the roads if the roads are hazardous.
And I know I said 10 p.m.,
yes,
but sometimes we even get that notice out earlier than that, the day before, if it's, if we have good.
We do our best to trust the weathermen.
Yes.
I've been in Oklahoma for almost all of my life. My first 5 years, I lived somewhere in another state, but so I've lived in Oklahoma for over 50 years, and I understand that trusting the weathermen may not be the best thing we do, and it may be one of the toughest jobs in America is being a weather person in the state of Oklahoma. But they really do their best and go by what experts, and they're right more than they're wrong. But we do trust, and if they're predicting 100% and it's going to be hazardous, we're going to make those calls as early as possible for two reasons. One, it allows our people to make plans, and you as a parent, we know it's going to be a hardship. You got to find childcare. You got to get with your employer. You got to make those arrangements, and they're a lot easier to make if we let you know at 6 o'clock at night than 6 o'clock the next morning. I mean, that 12 hours is a lot for you, and we'll do everything to give you as much time as we can.
And in addition to, talking with our meteorologists, we also talk with Fort Sill because they're a big part of, our stakeholders, and we talk with our National Weather Service in Norman. So we do have a lot of processes before we make that phone call and we get all our data.
Oh, definitely.
That's right.
Definitely. We gather a lot of data to make the best decision we can.
And we're talking about the weather, but we also want to remind our families about our COVID summary. So let's get into that.
Yes, and again, it's one thing that we've updated. You go to the community section, so go to lawtonps.org, our school webpage, and go to community. And if you'll just look down there, it says COVID summary. click on that and you can go through. And again, we really feel like this is very informative. We still hear people thinking we're secret. It'll tell you how many adults, how many students. It'll tell you what site they're at. It'll tell you how many are active. The red numbers are active, so you'll see how many active cases we have. You can look down and it'll tell you how many there's quarantined. We still get that confusion if so-and-so's at home today, if they're quarantined, there's no information to share with those people that were in close contact with them. If they're home because they were a positive, then we would be sharing that information of the close contacts, or the health department would. But there's still some confusion on that, because sometimes people think, man, there's 3 people got quarantined at this school. They're thinking if they were 3 positives, which is a whole different look. So make sure you look on that and make sure you continue. We're getting better at that. And when I say we, it includes me. We're getting better at having an understanding of the difference between a quarantine and
an isolation.
And an
That's
isolation.
what I was just going to say.
A positive
Correct.
or a negative test. Are they home because they're positive, or are they home because they're quarantined? So there's a lot of information there, and definitely get on there and look. And again, we've got that webpage. We've got that IMFO at lawtonps.org that I can tell you, and if we look at those emails and we try to answer those questions. Even on this podcast, we answer some of them. I've called people at night that's put things on there because I felt like it was a concern, and I want to make sure I understood exactly. So when I tried to investigate or tried to gather facts the next day, that I knew exactly what they were asking or their complaint was. So obviously we can't get to everybody, but we do look at those and we do try to answer questions. And so we appreciate those of you that share information with us.
And speaking of the INFO, we've not brought this up, but we also have those surveys. How are we doing at each building? So people can scan the QR code.
Yes, it's got a QR code scanned. It's like 2 questions just to let us know. And those are just, because we want to be a friendly service. When you go to a building, you should feel welcome. We know that a partnership with our parents and a partnership with our community are key ingredients to making a successful school. So, we're going to strive to keep that and keep a positive, and make that it takes 2 to be friendly. And we're going to work hard to be welcoming, invite you in, and make it where you feel comfortable coming and visiting our school sites.
So now you're talking about positivity. We just had a great 2 weeks of state championship play with our students.
Yes, Lawton Eisenhower, or the Lawton Ike Lady Eagles, I believe we call them. I'm new to
Lady Ikes, yeah, Lady Eagles.
Yes,
that's right.
And so they were in the state softball tournament. Very excited for those young ladies. Very young team as well. There were some awesome seniors on the team. It's kind of. I really want to expand our TV service so we can watch more of that. Over fall break, I got to go visit my grandkids, and I was up visiting, but I watched the regionals and 2 exciting games, and that was exciting. So, and then the MacArthur ladies went to the state volleyball tournament, and we're very excited for them. And then we had a unified volleyball team that played in the state finals, and that was awesome to watch. And everybody that tuned into that was very excited and gave us all a good feeling. So all those associated with those teams should be very proud, including myself. It's always exciting to watch that stuff. That rolls us in. Football season's here now, and even on TV, we're down to where just a few baseball games, as far as the World Series, but it's becoming football, and that fall gives you that football. The OSSA made a big rule change this year to address the fact that games are getting canceled, and every team makes the playoffs. So they've extended it a year, and every team will make the playoffs. So if you got, so every one of our schools, all 3 high schools will make the football playoffs. So that's going to be exciting when that time starts, because, you got to make the playoffs to have a chance to win the championship. But, to get to play in some games and get those extra games and win some, very exciting. The other thing that, that's kind of hits into, we're rolling into basketball season. We're already starting to develop those plans for basketball games. I know we're looking at playing our rivalry games, or our inner city games, as they call them, in the Coliseum.
Okay.
Because of the larger seating area, because we're thinking 25% capacity in the gyms. We are pretty much, from everything we're talking, because it's worked so good, working with only letting pre-sales tickets. You either got to buy your ticket before or have a pass to get in the game. So, make sure you get ready to, to purchase those tickets before. But, we're doing everything we can to get closer and closer to that sense of normalcy. When you look at our COVID summary map, yes, we have some positive cases. We still feel like our students are still being infected outside of the school setting, but we're working hard to protect them. We know social distancing is big. We know hand sanitizers are big, but we also feel good about the mask, and we're hats off to our staff and two hats off to our students. The masks have really not been an issue. And that's a positive to the 2,000 staff members and the 13,000 students that are part of Lawton Public Schools, that we've really made that work for us. And compared to other school districts, knock on wood, but it has going great, and that's a compliment to the people that go to school here and work here.
And our parents that support every effort and measure that we're taking to keep our kids safe and our staff.
It has been amazing. As a first-year superintendent, first of all, Lawton's a large school. It's a larger school, so there are going to be challenges for me. The district has challenges, such as every other district, where the job, they brought in a new superintendent for a reason. But COVID has added to the challenge. But the way that the staff and the parents have stepped up to the plate has been just truly awesome. As you know, we're going to speak at the state board meeting, the next one, and they want us to come talk about the positive things going on at Lawton Public Schools, specifically our virtual and how the night virtual is working, and even the day, and how that's all combined with our traditional school. And again, I say this all the time, and I can't say it enough. The goal I came in when I had this dream or this vision of what we're going to do was flexibility. But it wasn't me who's affected by the flexibility. It's the teachers and the staff. Our teachers had to be flexible. When I'm flexible, allowing a student to go from traditional to virtual or virtual to traditional, that doesn't do anything to Kevin Hime. I don't have to change anything I do today if 10 students trains back and forth, but it affects a lot of our teachers, and I understand that. And so I just a shout out to our staff. Our staff have stepped up to the plate in this. And granted, we've got 2,000 employees. There's some things that we need to get better at, because, I always say you don't have to be bad to get better. And we're working to get better and improve those. We got some class sizes out there in elementaries here and there that we're working really hard to fix. But just overwhelmingly, our parents, our teachers, our staff, all of them have been all in together and not complaining, not griping, just stepping up and knowing that this flexibility is what's best for students and parents and our families. And it's just been so awesome for me. So just, I just appreciate it so much. Not only the welcome I've gotten to this community, but by everybody's rallied in and worked together and made this work for us. So, again, thanks a lot to all those you who have been very instrumental in making this a success so far for Lawton Public Schools. And I'm the first to tell you, there are things we have to get better at. We're identifying things every day that we're working on to get better. So it's not like it's all, it's all hunky-dory. It's not all ice cream and roses.
Right.
There's some things we got to get better. But there are a lot more positives going on right now than negatives. And that's a direct reflection on our teachers and our staff.
And they're doing a great job. I had the opportunity to watch a Zoom with one of our virtual night and her kindergarten babies. And oh my goodness, those kids were just as energetic as they would be in person. And our teacher was just as involved and engaged. So it's really doing great for the soul and for our families and everybody out there. Like you said, it's not an easy road or an easy path, but we're starting something really special for our community, and especially with the night. So hats off to you for helping us to share that vision.
And we've got some teachers that are really involved, and we've got some parents that like the idea that they work in the day, but they can be more hands-on in their child's education at night. This is not going away. This is some things we're going to continue to do. So as a parent or a teacher out there, if it's something you really like, we're going to try to continue to offer this option, all these options for you. Granted, there won't be as many virtual. We would assume more students will go traditional when we defeat the COVID virus, and more teachers will, because, for every teacher who's loving being virtual, we have those out there that it's not exactly what they thought. And that's probably one of the harder things for my chair to deal with is it's a lot easier for me to be flexible with the students and the parents, but it's hard to let me allow the teachers to move back that want, because that creates a lot of hardships for our parents and students when we start moving teachers around. But we're going to work as much as we can in the fact that we were flexible and worked to make it where our teachers got preferred teaching settings to start the year. We're going to try to continue to improve that for those that really aren't totally 100% happy with the choice or where they ended up, and they would like to a different setting. So again, next year we'll start this all over, and even at Christmas as the numbers move back and forth, because we started about 8,000, 5,000, 8,000 traditional, 5,000 virtual. I think we're about 8,500 traditional now, 3,500 virtual. So the problem is when you have students move, 500 students move over the course of 3 weeks, naturally they don't move uniformly. So at one side it may be they got 8 new second graders. Well, now that second grade class went from 20 to 28, and then over here they've lost second graders and they're at 15. Well, you'd like to make it balance across the district, and so we're working hard to do that. But don't think that we're still not looking at those things, and please don't think that we're just saying, man, we're great and awesome, this is working, because at Shoemaker, we see those problems. As an administrative leadership team, we're working to solve problems and try to improve the learning environment, not only for our students, but our teachers as well.
And as we prepare to wind down our podcast, is there anything that we haven't talked about that you really want to share with our family? We did do a story on the hole in the wall at Ron Stevens.
Yes, the hole in the wall is getting repaired, and that's something we've talked about on here. But again, if you feel there's something that was promised in a bond issue through the years, teacher, staff, whoever, if you're listening and something that was promised that hasn't been fulfilled, send that to info at Lawton PS, because we're trying to compile that list, because our goal is to meet all those promises. The other thing, LPS on the go, we're working on the next one of those. We're going to try to make that a consistent date, maybe the first Monday of the month or something. They haven't made that yet. We serve 7,000 virtual meals, so don't forget, as a virtual student, it's just like summer for any of you. If you want to pick up the 10 meals for your child, you can pick up those 10 meals on Monday, or you can pick them up throughout the week. So we're continuing, and the federal government is continuing to sponsor that lunch and breakfast program for everyone. So we got a lot going on, and so drive by Ridgecrest. Look how great that turnover is going, and just know we're right in the middle of Woodland Hills. Pioneer Park's coming, Lincoln's coming, and we drew out Tomlinson's this week. So we finally got away from an elementary. So there are so many things out there we're trying to get done, and it's just a lot of great people here making them happen. So I just can't reiterate, as we roll into the Christmas season and the holidays with Thanksgiving right around, November's right there. We can see it.
Right.
How much I appreciate, My wife told me today, whenever I was walking out the door, she said, it's almost 1 year ago that you interviewed for a job, and started that process. And said, wow, it's been a year. But just how welcome and how awesome the people around me have been to make this, a great situation for me. And I'm the first to tell you, it's not about me. It's about those people, and great people being successful makes me look, they make me look good. And thank you for all of you that are helping to make me look good right now. And I'll continue to do a great job so I can continue to look good. Just know I appreciate you, all the hard work you guys do.
We have a great LPS family.
Oh, it's
all
awesome.
The way around. And I'm very thankful for you guys tuning in. And Mr. Hime, I'm thankful for you joining us. We're going to have more great things coming up next week.
Oh, yes.
And it's going to be a good weekend. Make sure you bundle up, because it looks like it's going to be a little colder than it has been.
On Monday, we'll have to light a fire.
Oh, my goodness. Put that
Get my
to
fireplace.
work. That's right.
Make sure my heater works. I haven't been here very long.
That's right. Thank you guys for joining us. If you have any questions, you can always reach us at info, like Mr. Hime says, at lawtonps.org, our social media pages, and continue to follow us on our YouTube as well, and our website. Until next time, we hope you have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you next week.
Next week.